Let's do this. Hello. We're the number 2 podcast in the galaxy. We acknowledge the universe acknowledges us, and it told us through a dream, God came to us, and they're just like, you and Anna, GANA, are the number 2 podcast in the galaxy, and we were just confused because we didn't even start a podcast yet, so he just knew. He just knew the vibe that we were you see, let's just stop there, and we're anthropomorphizing God. We did not mean to say he. Why do we belittle God into a human? God is literally so much more than that, and it is the whole universe and is the whole galaxy. Let's not get into that, but let's start off and just tell you why we made this podcast. Anna and I, GANA, we're fiending for due dates, and we wanted something intellectual to get into. We met at Hobart William Smith Colleges. And how do we meet? Through the law of attraction. We don't even know how we met. We just started hanging out and just liked each other. We're like, okay, let's hang out.
Friends. Yeah.
And we were on the same, just like water sign homework vibe, overwhelmed with homework, but also not wanting to do it, but then also just doing it 24/7, but at the same time not doing it.
Yeah, like procrastinating. I think our procrastinating minds really it just clicked. Exactly. 2 water signs, doing the same exact shit.
Just swimming in the stream of our consciousness, and we'd be doing our work, and then we would get off on these other streams, and we thought those other streams are more important than our work sometimes. So now that's why we're dedicating a podcast to expose our streams to the world.
Yeah, and we hope you enjoy it and get something out of it. And our conversations are pretty wild, which is why we thought people would enjoy this podcast. So as we said, this podcast is just a giant stream of consciousness, and we get to pick the topics. And we thought, what was more fitting for the first topic than astrology? Something that is completely, not controversial, but it's just, people, I don't know, people are like, it's real, it's not real, it's partly real, it's, so I think it's perfect for us. We love delving into the things that are complex, and I think that's super interesting. And so without further ado, welcome to Taurus season. And I'm going to give you a quote from one of my favorite astrology Twitters. You can find them at @astrobabes. We're going to link them down below. But basically the way they describe Taurus season is exactly what I love. So it's welcome to Taurus season, aka grow, aka keep growing, aka spring cleaning, aka little pressures, aka creative outlets, aka rocking a routine, what makes you happy, aka stability and comfort, and amidst chaos season, mindful choices in our minds and our bodies, aka love season. So welcome to Taurus season. We both love astrology because, we both love diving into the complexities of it, but also understanding that, it's a pseudoscience. Astrology is extremely relative, and, some argue that it is rooted in realities, but that's what makes it exciting, trying to figure out what you believe in, what you don't believe in, constantly questioning your logic, because, most of it is relative. And so, how in movies, they're always put your cell phones away. It's time to watch the movie. No talking. Don't take calls. This is the stream your consciousness version of that. It's time to, if you're at the front door of our podcast, it's time to put your judgment away. Put your judgment, put your preconceived notions, your biases out the door, and enjoy the show. Because if you're coming into this, completely in a judgmental mind, you're not going to get anything out of this. And that's the point of astrology, is it's a form of indulgence, and it's something fun to indulge in. It's just a crazy fun topic that so many people talk about, and so many people want to know about, but they're just too, I don't know, skeptical, or not interested, or they don't want to look into it. So
get comfortable. Stick around for the show. Don't go.
I need to start with a little overview of what basic Western astrology is, for some of us who aren't too familiar. So I'm going to go into that. So according to Western astrology, I'm going to go into more detail about this, but only to a certain extent. So in Western astrology, you have a birth chart, and I'm going to go later into detail of what that is. And it's based and calculated on the time you were born, the date you were born, and the location. So with this information, you can basically get a birth chart. And a birth chart is a layout of how like the planets in sign are essentially connecting in your life. And that's a very, very basic, loose explanation. And our pop culture, and like when you read astrology, when you read Cosmo, when you read like Instagram accounts, et cetera, when your friends talk about it, usually people are talking and referring to their sun sign. So in the birth chart that I just mentioned, you have multiple planets and representing different parts of your personal nature / relationships, etc. And out of all those planets, one of those planets is the sun. And that's what basically people really know about. So your sun sign, it depends on like your natal chart and whatnot. And your sun sign will fall into one of the 12 categories. And one of those 12 categories are one of the 12 signs of the zodiac. And in the 12 signs of the zodiac, there are 4 elements like water, earth, air, and fire. And again, you will fall into one of those categories. And different planets fall in like different categories of different signs. But from there on, I leave you, the reader, the viewer, the listener, to like continue and Google more about this, to find more about like what each of these signs mean, how they interact, and how they relate to your natal chart's corresponding planets. So
exactly.
now
You just put into Google like astrology birth chart and just make sure you know the time you were born, where you were born, and the date. Hopefully you know all that stuff, and then you get all this information. They do all the work for you.
Yeah, so that's basically the gist. Planets, astrology, your time, your place, but all of that comes together and it gives you kind of a layout of like how astrology influences your life. And from there you can again look into it. But that's kind of the basic overview. So now let's dive into the real astrology chit chat that people are here for. So Gaby, please tell me how Taurus season is treating you. And wait, before I say Taurus season, but what I mean by season is that like every sign starts from like X date and ends at X date. So whatever that is like the season. So right now we're currently in Taurus season. So please tell me, how is it treating you?
So obviously it's lit. I feel more clear than ever right now. Aries season was really intense with me because my moon is in Aries, so I was just feeling a lot. I was getting really overwhelmed, and I did not know how to control my energy. This is when everything started with Corona, all of that stuff, and we were just home, and there were days that I just spent just like watching Netflix and not really doing much. But I don't know, since Taurus season came around, I just had this clarity of like, I know what to do. I'm like, Anna, we gotta start this. Like coincidentally, we like started like the day of Taurus season, we started talking about this.
And this also like been in the works for a while too, but just like interesting. But I think it goes to show like, like we are like you said, we are launching the podcast during Taurus season. Like, so it is fitting to say like the stereotype of, like what Astro Beeb said when I first quoted them, like, it's the best time to be motivated. It's the best time to have a strong work ethic, which is what Tauruses are known for. And so it's a good sign to start your projects and actually follow through with them. And yeah, that's like one of my favorite parts about Taurus seasons is that like how motivated and their work ethic.
Yeah, exactly. And I mean, it's interesting because we didn't start this because of Taurus season. We're just reflecting and realizing it fell on the same dates and we're working on the same path as Taurus season. So that's what I really like about astrology. I use it more as reflection rather than to tell my future. It's not like we're like, me and Anna a year ago, we're like, yo, let's post this shit on Taurus season. You know what I mean? Like, we did not even know it was going to be now. And it just happened to be like that.
I know. Isn't it insane? Like, I don't know. Taurus season also is like a good time for like indulgence and like good stuff. And I think it's interesting. Like, I don't know. How do I really put this? Like the fact that we've like experienced 3 different like zodiac seasons during this quarantine. Like we experienced the end of Pisces season. We experienced all of Aries season. Like we experienced, now we're like in Taurus season. So like, I don't know. Like I think it's I think it's really, really interesting. But also I want to start off like who like we are in terms of astrology. Like we discussed in the beginning of our podcast, like we are water signs, you know? So
Can you
like I
guess
am a
what we
Pisces.
are? No,
Yeah,
I'm
well,
kidding.
let me give it away to them. And like yeah, like I am a Pisces and you know
A
Gabby is a
Scorpio.
you know, and if you want to add me on CoStar, like comment down below, like to go get the deets on our compatibility because I'm not going to give you my full chart. It's too
Yeah.
much.
Shout out to
But if you want to,
CoStar, by the way. They changed the
not
game up.
sponsored, they changed the game up, not sponsored, but like, hey, if you're a CoStar rep listening to this, oh, please sponsor us, please.
Oh, deadass.
But
This is a free app to download, and you just have to know the birth time, all those little details, and they do everything for you. And then you add other people, and you see your compatibility. Now, don't take that too seriously. Also, it's not like if you don't have any compatibility with someone, it doesn't mean you're not going to get along. It's just going to take a little more communication to understand where both of your minds are at. I feel like.
yeah, and your natures, yeah. But like, let's circle back to Taurus season. Like, I want to do an honorable mention to one of like my favorite Tauruses. And that is Travis Scott. I think like I don't know. Did you see his Fortnite thing? Did you see his Fortnite concert?
No, I didn't see it, but I saw like how he didn't have like nipples on it.
Well, yeah, I thought that was pretty insane. Like I don't know, it's just like I thought that was like the symbolism of Taurus season. It's just like Travis Scott coming out and being like, this is what I wanted to do my whole life. Like, this is it. And like make this spectacular like collaboration and like graphics and music and all of that. Like Travis Scott is truly one of I think such an interesting artist of our generation. I don't know, I think he's so cool in all the manners. He
Oh, his
basically
documentary just shows it. Yeah, exactly. He just like
the
had
work
this vision
behind
ever
him,
since he was younger.
dude, it's nuts, but like Taurus, that's what like I think like just the hard working like get it done. I think
You know,
it's
Chance the
really
Rapper is also Taurus.
that's interesting. I didn't know that.
He says it in his
I
song
did not know
"Handsome."
that.
He's like, "Baby, you look good, you look handsome," and then he's like, go to your city, I'm a tourist. And it's funny because he puts the play on words of tourist and Taurus, and I'm like, wait, is he a tourist or he a tourist? And I had to look it up, and that's why I know that, because he like,
Yeah,
I'm like, oh, he's into that. He's like, oh, look at that.
that's so funny. I know. Yeah. So like, Gabby, tell me something you've been researching on astrology.
Oh, I've been looking at more at the perspective of Carl Jung and on the psyche and how to understand it through the psyche. So I thought it was really cool. Carl Jung actually looked into his patients as a psychologist. He looked into his patients' birth charts to understand them more from a different perspective. Or from a deeper perspective. I just thought that was an interesting way to combine it with science, because nowadays we kind of belittle this way of understanding the world, and we just look at it as like, oh, like your horoscopes, you know what I mean? And I thought it
Yeah.
was really interesting how in like the Middle Ages in Western astrology, how everything started. People would actually consulted professional astrologers, arguing that certain medical herbs improve their effectiveness if they were gathered during particular moon phases. Yeah, so I was thinking, like, if plants and the growth of plants are affected by astrology and by the moon, not by astrology, I mean by like the positions of the stars, the planets, and like the heavenly bodies everywhere, then why would humans not be affected? You know what I mean? It just seems weird
Exactly. No,
that
there's no
we,
way.
how can I deny that we're not affected by it? So that's what really got me into it, because I'm like, if I can't deny that we live, this is the idea that I really liked from this astrology book I got from like Urban Outfitters. It's literally like, the world is larger than just our present. And I thought that was
Well,
so interesting. I feel like humans, we always think we're like the center of the world. And, the
we're
world's a lot.
not.
Yeah, we're not. We're just like
We're so
one little
relative.
speck.
Yeah, we're so
Exactly.
relative to like it's just yeah, like if we're so relative like to the economy, to like friendships, to relationships, to politics, to sociology, then like we're definitely somehow probably affected by astrology. I think I think your point of connecting nature to our reality and seeing how it influences, and to kind of like bring us back down to like, not back down to earth, like bring the human ego to be like, how do you really, like, how are you really making the connections in your life, and how are you connecting that to nature? Because yeah, I think that's really cool. And I think, both of us are not, licensed or educated astrologers. Like, we both just read up a lot on it.
I'm a
Both like,
licensed philosopher.
yep. Well, that's the only plus you have over me. It's like,
No, I'm
you are
just
a
kidding.
licensed philosopher. I don't know.
I'm
It's like,
literally just kidding. Like, we had nothing on astrology and philosophy.
yeah, I never studied anything in astrology in my classes. I think a little bit, also like understand. I think it's important to know, like, astrology constantly changes, because if you're basically studying, the movement of planets and the, like, relative to the Earth, and relative to yourself, like, those calculations get mixed up based on like how the Earth's axis changes up a year. Like, I think it's important to like discuss, like, oh, there's this entire other zodiac sign that recently came out according to NASA, but like we all rejected it. We were all like, no, like, we like what we like, and we were like, this is it. And you're not going to tell me I'm not a Scorpio. You're not going to tell me I'm not a Pisces. Like, I think that's super interesting too, to understand that it is a pseudoscience, but I think, like everything, there's like truth rooted in it. So I think it's just like fun to indulge. So like when you have that in the back of your mind, when you're like taking things lightly and you understand like it's all with a grain of salt, it makes astrology fun. You know what I mean? It makes it like more relative. It makes it fun to apply to your life, because if it doesn't apply to your life, or you don't like how it applies to your life, you don't have to take it. I think that's interesting. Like, understand, like, big thing people ask me all the time is like compatibility. They're like, oh, am I compatible with this? Like, what do I do with that? And like, I was like, yeah, like, you might not be compatible with this other sign, but it's all about, like you said, it's all about like communication and like getting to that point where you are able to connect with another human despite your zodiac differences or astrological differences. And yeah.
You want to know something funny? But if we talk about classes in astrology, go back to that idea. I was taking a Buddhism course, and I was in Chester, England, and I wanted an extension, and I actually used the excuse of Mercury retrograde, and my teacher was like, yo, you're so right. Like, things been going wrong for me too. Everyone gets an extension, Mercury retrograde.
No way.
I swear. My Buddhism teacher. So she had that mindfulness ideas of astrology. But yeah, awesome. Some people just like can empathize with you and understand.
And like, I think that's a great way to, I think it's perfect that you connected it to like Buddhism. I think Buddhism, it's just like, it's kind of like a way of life, a way of reflection. Like, like Buddha himself was not a religious figure, like he was like a man who like reached enlightenment, so it's the concept of that, and like what you learn from that enlightenment, like Buddhism is basically what Buddha learned from his enlightenment period. So that's basically what astrology is for us, like what did we learn through our own self-reflection through astrology, and how do we like make that kind of not into a lifestyle, but like a continuous like sense of consciousness, and like like being consistently aware, not consistently, but like being aware that there's other stuff going on around us that we can't really explain. And like, I think it's very human to try to attach explanations to the unexplainable. So I think astrology serves that purpose for people, serves that purpose of like comfort. And our world is so hectic, like we get so overwhelmed. Like, it's nice to be like, like when me and Gabby would have bad days in colleges, I'd be like, Gabby, like check your astrology, or like check your moon calendar. Like, what day is it? Like, what is going on right now? Because like we wanted to find meaning in our days. We wanted to find reflection in that, because that would help us like kind of bring us down to earth. You know what I mean? Like attribute meaning so we can reflect how we want to view things. I think that's super important to know, and I think that's super
I have this
interesting.
other quote. Astrology examines patterns and prevail in our lives, opportunities or gateways that are made available to us. So I literally just look at it as synchronicity, examining patterns. It's funny how Anna says we would look at the moon signs and what sign was prevalent in the sky at the moment, with the moon. And I noticed this pattern that would happen when I would like quit or leave jobs, or get let go from jobs. I only had two times that this happened, but it was interesting. The two times this happened, the first time I had to quit my job, it was a full moon in Scorpio. And it's not because I didn't look at the moon and I was like, oh, it's a full moon in Scorpio, let me quit right now. That day, I was just overwhelmed, and I knew, I'm like, I can't be in this job right now. Something so deeply in my soul was telling me, like, this job is not for me, and I can't be here wasting my consciousness and time putting effort into this job. So it was just interesting. Like, that was the first time. And the second time, it was like a full moon in Aries, and that's where my moon sign is. And I kind of I kind of made a mistake to talk to my manager. I knew she was a Pisces, so I thought she was gonna like empathize with me. And I told him, like, yo, I don't know about this job anymore. I'm trying to look for other jobs. And I really opened up to her that day. And then at the end of the day, she's like, hey, you're it's not the best fit for you. You should not be here. I'm like, okay, thanks.
That's rough.
So
Yeah.
those were two times where my emotions were just overwhelming, and I was just feeling them so deeply, where I either had to quit or had to tell my manager, and that ended me up in not being in that job anymore. So yeah, it's not that I'm saying like every single full moon in Aries or Scorpio I'm going to quit something, but it's just like being aware of your emotions at the time.
I think that's a really good way to put it. Yeah, I think it's great. I think astrology is great, like in relating it to the workforce, like understanding who your teammates are. You know, like people take like what are those like 12 traits personality quizzes? Like people take those. That's basically astrology. You know what I mean? Not like, you know, it's basically describing someone's personal nature and attributing it to a category. You know, so you can understand how certain people work and how people don't. Like, that's basically what a birth chart is. You look at a birth chart and you analyze how this person communicates, how this person loves, how this person is in aggression, how this person is intellectually, and like how this person is, you know, outwardly emotionally. So like I think that's really important to understand. And I think astrology is really great for people in that like have collaborative workspaces, you know? I think it's also great. I think it's great when like you view like job opportunities maybe, or like be like, oh, these are all Scorpios, or these are all this, or like this artist is like an Aries, or this artist is a Leo. Like I think understanding that gives you really good context of like who people are and like trying to understand them. I think that's the point, is like not only are we trying to understand ourselves, we're trying to understand our relationship with others.
Yeah, I totally agree. And what I really like from this Carl Jung expert in his astrology book, I quoted this idea. This is what the question of that he was trying to answer with his astrology research. What are the operative forces that determine my fate despite my conscious intention? So he
Perfect.
knows, we know that we have so much conscious intention in everything we do, but there's things out there that we can't control, but they still have control over our fate and what we do.
Yeah, that's definitely true. I agree with that.
So,
Yeah, I think astrology doesn't like sit well with people that reject that their whole life is influenced by many other things, you know? I think those are the people that are like, oh yeah, astrology is like bullshit, or astrology is like not fun. Like astrology is so fun because of that. It's just constantly learning about yourself and reflecting. But yeah, I think it was a very interesting way. It's basically a new way to like look at our fate, or what happens to us, or how we're feeling.
Yeah.
Or
So
who
I
we're
have some
interacting with.
homework for listeners. Just to introduce you guys to the concept of astrology and kind of looking at your patterns. This is what I did with my boyfriend, because it was hard to explain. I don't want to push the idea on astrology. I just want it to be alongside your ideas and just be aware. So I challenge you to look up all your favorite artists and see if there's a pattern in sun signs, or even if you want to go deeper and look up their birth chart, because that information is online, which is really weird.
It's really weird. Yeah, it's so weird. I think it's so interesting.
And then also take a look at your friend group and see the people that you're more attracted to and surrounded by, as well as love interests. see a pattern in all your boyfriend or girlfriends and see what kind of signs you were dating. And then
Yeah, and then from
lastly,
there, Google.
yeah, and if you don't know this, Facebook is the best tool for this. Facebook, like me and Anna are
Interesting.
like, if I don't follow the person or if Anna doesn't follow the person, we're always like, yo, what's this person's birthday?
That's true. That's true. Yeah. So it's, yeah, I in like meeting people, I'm always like, oh, like I wish I knew what your sign, but like it sucks that like you don't want to impose that on people. So you can't be like, what's your sign? But like on dates, I manage to like put it in there. I always manage to be like, what is your sign? Be like, oh, what time were you born? Like, oh, cool. Like, what's your nature? You know, like I think that I try to sneak it in somewhere because I wish astrology was a lot more widely accepted. Not widely accepted, but like people had more knowledge on it or people weren't as judgmental. But yeah, I always ask about that. I always want to know people's signs. Like I always want to know like creatives, like who inspires me and what about them inspires me. You know, like what about their chart is like so interesting that's different from me or whatnot. Or I think it's very important. I think it's also a great icebreaker, you know, like when you're hanging out with people, like new people, you'd be like, oh, what's your sign? Like, but again, astrology was not as judged. I'd be doing that constantly. And I still do sometimes, like out of, you know, I'm like, fuck it, what's your sign? And I don't care what,
Yeah.
like, you think of me. And if you think of me badly, then I know we're not vibing. You know, if you like judge me, they're like, oh yeah, the horoscope girl. Like, yeah, we're not vibing. Like, clearly you're so like closed off to the ideas of self-reflection.
Do you want to share some patterns you saw in artists that you like or like friend groups, any interesting things that you've seen in your life that kind of validates the idea of astrology for you?
I think like in terms of like there's so much. I think it's so much to like under like yeah, all of many I validated in myself, and I think that's the thing with astrology, and that also what people become skeptic of is that you're validating something that's like not real by like maybe like forcing patterns to be in it. But I'm like, no, maybe those patterns are not being forced on it. Maybe there's just patterns that we're looking into. But I think I think astrology really rings true to home with me when it comes to like my days. Like I think when it comes to
Mm.
like when I'm sad or like about like just feeling this or feeling that, feeling overwhelmed, feeling angry, feeling emotional. Like I look at and I will show the viewers, I do look at my schnazzy moon calendar that Gaby got for me for Christmas. And so there, like,
Beautiful.
you're able to like see how planets are like interacting during your day, you know, or like what day or what week, and like I think that's cool to know. So you can also like use that as a motivation, be like, oh, I'm not gonna let like this Aries thing that's going on right now like affect me, you know, and be like, I'm not gonna I'm not gonna I'm not gonna let that stop me today, or I'm gonna read, or like it's just kind of comforting. I find comfort in astrology when it comes to like big planets and like a lot of planet movement in the sky. I think that
Mm-hmm.
definitely affects me. But in terms of like people, I think I don't know. I think that's the fun thing about astrology. It's like you can like engage in the stereotypes, be like, oh, Scorpio is this, like Leo is this, like X, Y, and
Yeah.
Z. Like that's fun. And like, yeah, a lot of those ring true, but a lot of those also don't ring true. You know, it's like I don't like, for example, I don't get along with Leos. It's just a pattern I've always noticed. But my favorite artist and like the person who I look up to the most, her entire chart is almost Leo. Like she's so Leo because she's
Who is
not what I
this?
am. This is Charlie XCX. You should all check her out. But like, um, she's just so Leo, and I think that's why I like her. Is because Leos are this like vibrant, just out there, like I don't know, like look at me, like Leo, like it's just like like star of the show. You know what I mean? Like they
Mm-hmm.
are the star of the world, and they frankly know it. And I'm not a big fan on like egotism, but for some reason, like with Charlie XCX, with her like artwork, you know, she is a public figure. It works so well. I think it works
Maybe
so
as
well. And
yeah, maybe as friends you can't befriend those people because they're so in their own ego, but then maybe as a figure that needs to be like that in order to be a figure to look up to, you like that confidence, you like that power in
yeah, her
someone.
confidence is something I've never seen before. Like her mind, like she's so like unapologetically her, and she's like just shines no matter what. And I think that's something like, Pisces like lack, is like that sense of like outwardness and like ego. And I think that she brings a lot to the table that I don't have a lot in my life, because I'm not friends with many Leos. There's not many Leos in my life. I think it's also interesting to like look at parents, like understanding your parents, like that's a big thing for me, like understanding like my mom's a Virgo, and like Virgos are frankly very overcritical. And like that's something like someone can't change my mind on. It's just like I meet Virgos and I'm like, you have a great work ethic and there's so many great positives about you, but I also like know a lot of the negative qualities. But like that's where I try to reach understanding when I meet other Virgos. I'm like, you're amazing. Like one of my best friends is also Virgo, but my mom's a Virgo. My dad's a Cancer.
That's
How
intense.
nuts is that? It's nuts. It's so intense. Like a Pisces, a Cancer, and a Virgo in a home. Like fucking, it's so wild. But I think that's so interesting. But yeah, please tell me one of your favorite artists.
Drake is someone that I always grew up with, and every emotion I was feeling, he just knew how to sing it out. And the Drake, like every album, this is one person where I liked every single song, and I didn't even notice the idea of astrology when I was little. I wasn't like, yo, this guy's a Scorpio. Just recently when he released Scorpion, I'm like, wait. This guy that I've been like looking up to for music and vibes ever since I was like 10, like singing I'm Going In with like just like, whoa, he's a Scorpio, and I never noticed that. And then someone else that I always had a crush on and was obsessed with was Leonardo DiCaprio. And I would just be watching, like, I guess every book in English they would make me read, there was a Leonardo DiCaprio movie attached to it. So, like, Romeo and Juliet and The Great Gatsby. And I would never like to read, but I would always watch these movies. And then I'd become obsessed with these books because of Leonardo DiCaprio. And I never knew this, but then I realized, like, one day I, like, looked him up. I'm like, wait, his birthday is my birthday?
Whoa.
Yeah, his birthday's
That's
11/11.
nuts.
Yeah. And it was just someone I was always attached to, and it was just interesting because, like, my boyfriend, like, I always just loved his looks like Leonardo DiCaprio. And then my boyfriend would, like, send me a picture one day. He's like, hey, I'm trying to get a haircut looking like young Leo. I'm like, what? Okay. Like, I never told you about my little crush, but you got it. Go do your thing. I'm like, yes.
That's so funny. Yeah, that's great.
And I think we have to mention Gary V.
I think, yeah, me and Gabby, we are very big fans of Gary Vaynerchuk. Yeah. He is an entrepreneur, owner of VaynerX. Yeah, VaynerX, I think that's how you pronounce it. Like, giant media company, entrepreneur, like media content star. We looked up his birth chart, and please explain what you found.
I found that he was a sun in Scorpio, so he's intense, passionate, just like screams at people like, get your shit together, you know? It's literally the funniest thing ever. But then his moon is in Pisces, so I'm like, oh my god, he has such a like dreamy like emotion, like he just dreams and he just wants those dreams, but his ascendant is Virgo, so he carry out all his dreams. So he's like intense and passionate in the way he puts together his dreams, and then the way he carries them out was just so like beautiful and just like and persistent.
Precise and good. Yeah, yes. That's the key about Virgo, is just that they're so exact, and they're always they just have such a good intuition on like being right for some weird reason. Like Virgos usually right. So if you get advice from a Virgo, it's usually going to be pretty spot on. But I agree with you. I think it's so interesting to see like someone we look up to and being like, whoa, he's like part Scorpio, part Pisces, like, but he has this other exterior thing that's like influencing. I think that's really cool. I think that's
we literally just looked this up yesterday, and me and Anna have been talking about this guy for like forever, and just looked it up yesterday. We're like, wait, like his main signs are our signs. That's so interesting. We see so much of ourselves within him, and that's why he gives us so much motivation.
I think that's really true. Like certain people you just click with, and what about them do you click with? Like why? And then you realize, oh, we both have like a moon in Aquarius, or we both have like a rising this. So like that's what it makes sense. You know, I think it's so interesting to like understand different parts of your chart, because you're really missing out on the big picture if you don't do that. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah,
like sun signs are fun, but like once you get in your chart, you're fully there. And I just got a co-star notification.
Yeah, I probably got one too because
It says, draw on your inner reserves of strength today.
You see, like, that could be.
It could be whatever.
To anybody.
I don't know.
You know what I mean? Yeah. It's not like we're like, oh my gosh, like our inner reserves are really like prominent today. Like, no, yeah. It's like what? It's just trying to give you that little motivation. You know, it's not like telling you how your life is gonna be lived. You know?
Definitely not. Like, this is not. Who knows? Maybe I don't need inner strength today, but maybe I do. And then I don't know. I'll figure it out tonight once I'm done reflecting on the day. But I think it's great. I think it's great that we're talking about Taurus season because, you know, it's when we launched our podcast, and like Tauruses are some of my favorite. I think Taurus might be my favorite sign. I don't know, but like it's definitely one of my favorites. I just get along with Tauruses so badly, but also like, I don't know, like.
I'm sorry, I can't get over. I'm like, every time I like think about you and Tauruses, I just have to think about your incident that happened.
Yeah, I've had so many incidents with Tauruses. I've had a few very intense instances with Tauruses, especially like Taurus men. Yeah, I don't know. I think Taurus men are very interesting. They're usually either my best friend or like my worst enemy. But I just get along with them so well. There's such an intense like understanding. This is something a Taurus told me about both of us. He was like, I think what I really like about you and Gaby is that like you both are so intensely emotional, and that's something I'm not. So like the fact that you both are so easily vulnerable and like will cry to me at any moment and like scream and cry like in public and like all the time and just like go nuts. Like he goes, I don't do that. So he goes, I think that's what I admire about you guys is that your sense of emotion and connectedness with that is something I've never I don't have in my life. Like he was personally very connected, I guess maybe personally connected to his emotions, but he never let it out. Mm-hmm. So I think that's the great thing about water signs, especially mixing with earth signs, is like we let them to be like, hey, it's cool to be like yourself. It's cool to be like emotional. It's like we are that is our nature. Like it's okay to let that out. And so I think that's what water signs are great for. And I think that's why like you and I connect really well, because we both are water signs. We both have a lot of similarities in our charts.
Yeah, it's interesting, but I think ascendant sign has to do a lot with how people also perceive me. I know I'm very intense and passionate, and that's why people like are like, oh, you're a Scorpio. But when I see all these accounts and like how Scorpios dress, and it's like all black and like are mysterious and don't smile and have resting bitch face, I'm like, yo, like I cannot relate with any of that because my ascendant sign is Aquarius, and I feel like the Aquarius is like the most eccentric sign. Yeah. And I'm just like such a weirdo. Like I like to dress in every single color possible. You know, like me in all black, I feel so weird. I like can't do it. Like I look at myself in the mirror, I'm like, who is this person? Yeah. So I think that's interesting. Like Sagittarius, you're really good. Like Anna's rising sign's a Sagittarius, and like Anna, you're really good at like having your shit together, like acting like you have your shit together, and like with like intellectually confidence. And in school, like you're really good at like just like wording your opinions and doing your thing and not seeming overly emotional and like having logic in your answers rather than all emotion.
Well, I think that is more of like my moon sign. My moon sign is in Aquarius, so everything is logic. I'm such an emotional person, but because of my moon sign, I attribute all of my emotions and try to attach it to logic. And like I try to like view the world through a logical perspective while also taking consideration emotions and being like empathetic. But I think that's a very like, you know, like the way we process our emotions is our moon sign. So I think like, but yeah, like I think being a Sagittarius rising, I think what the most I've gotten out of that is realizing how much I love Sagittariuses, like how much I love like freedom, how much I love like independence, and like, yeah, then it comes with like a sort of confidence. And I think that's very interesting. And I don't know. Yeah, I think it's like rising signs do make a really big difference in who you immediately click with and who you immediately don't, because it's like our surface selves. You know, it's our surface selves, but they do guide us in some certain ways. It's interesting to like also notice the different compatibilities in our charts. You know, also I'm gonna move this over.
Should we pull up our chart and look at our compatibility?
Actually, yeah, why not?
And just see, kind of like analyze it almost.
Yeah, I've never looked at our compatibility. Well, I always knew we were really compatible. Like, for example, like Gabby's a like rising Aquarius, but my moon's in Aquarius. You know, like Gabby's Mercury's in Sagittarius, but I'm a rising Sagittarius. Like, but we're both water signs. Like, our Venuses are compatible. Like, all of these things have a lot of compatibility in them, and I think that's great. But they also have a lot of differences, which is good. So we are not compatible in our intellect and communication or sex and aggression.
Interesting.
That's very interesting. But we're compatible in everything else.
So I wonder, like, intellect communication, maybe we do have very different majors.
Well, our Mercuries are very different. Mine's in Pisces and yours is in Sagittarius.
Yeah.
Like that's like very, very different. Like very, very different.
But then we could really understand our ideas so easily. Like, maybe you're interested in different things. Like, you look at, like, the way you researched astrology was so different than the way I researched astrology. I was trying to look at Carl Jung, like, the psyche and, like, the archetypes, and you were just like, I don't know what you were looking at. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I was just basically, like, drawing on all of the information I had. But, like, I think what our Mercuries, like, yeah, they're not compatible. Yeah, I'm like Mercury in Pisces and you're Mercury in Sagittarius. I think what is interesting is that Sagittarius and Pisces both have such far-fetched opinions and far-fetched outlooks on life. That are so different from everyone else, so different from like an Aquarius, so different from like a Taurus or a Capricorn or whatnot, you know. So I think that's where it works, because like I read up like a lot of the connections between Pisces and Sagittarius, or like, and I don't know how it's both like very boundary pushing type of people. You know, you like to push boundaries, you like to think like openly, and I think because we both do that, but we both do it in different manners, it still works. I think that's what the interesting part is. But yeah, my Mars is in Libra. I'm a very like balanced person when it comes to my aggression. Like, I like things to be fair. I like things to be like, I don't know, I like things to be like even, you know, I like things to be reciprocated. I don't know, that's kind of my Mars, my aggression, and never too aggressive. I don't know, am I aggressive? Like, I don't know if I am. Because I know some people who have like Aries in their aggression and their Mars, like so intense. Like some of my friends who have like Aries in their chart, especially in the Mars section, it's like nuts. They're like so wild, so intense. So I think that's interesting. I don't know. Your Mars is in Capricorn.
I don't even know what that like means.
It means your aggression is whatever a Capricorn
ambitious. You're ambitious when you're angry. Meaning you see yourself in a way that is responsible and efficient, and you think things through very intentionally. So yeah, well, it's really hard for me to get into a relationship because I'm just like, bro, like I just like.
You're also Capricorn Venus, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, so like I think that's also something like if like people who are tuning in, like especially if they want to hear about compatibility, like compatibility, don't base that shit off your sun sign. Like it will get you nowhere. Like base it off your Venus. Like Venus is the planet of love. Base it on Mars, like your aggression. Base it on your rising signs, your moon signs, like how you really understand each other. Like that is what's going to be the key at the end of the day. It's not going to be if you're a Gemini and a Scorpio. It's going to be a lot more than that. So much more than that.
Like the only compatibility I have with my boyfriend that's like smiley face is sex and aggression, philosophies of life, and sense of responsibility.
That's really interesting.
So, I mean, that doesn't mean anything. You know what I mean? It's like, okay, that's like easier for us to understand each other. But honestly, as a rising Aquarius and like a Scorpio, I like to have people that are a lot different than me in a partnership so I can balance them and I can understand life through a different lens. You know, he's a Capricorn in moon sign, and the way he releases his emotions is a lot different than how I release my emotions. And I obviously release my emotions on my sleeve, but he can more rationally think about it and be more responsible with his emotions at this certain moment. And I love like understanding his point of view. And like,
yeah, that is super interesting.
Yeah, so like that's why it's like I've had water sign partners. I had a pattern of water sign partners, and it's just like they're too similar to me, and it just like I don't like that. As if I don't like that because I'm already with myself 24/7. I'm not trying to like manage someone else's emotions 24/7. You know what I mean? Like I'm trying to like trying to understand how we balance each other. Maybe my boyfriend needs more emotion and understand how to let that out, and maybe I need to understand how to like be more responsible with my emotions. So I like
Yeah.
that balance.
That's why I like Tauruses so much. They also serve that purpose for me as like the balance to the emotion, balance to like the wallowing, the water, because we're so like we can go in this vast thought, and then you need the earth to bring it down. But yeah, I think that's a really good point. I think I've only I think the most interesting non-compatible relationship I had, it was like when I dated an Aries. Like I think that's like nuts. Like to like Pisces, like and then like Aries, and you're like it, like like there's so many things about the relationship I had that I never experienced with like an earth sign like person or something. Like I think that's like so interesting. It's so interesting to like know that like compatibility is like so much more. I somehow like when people are very similar to me. Like I like a mutual understanding. I like that because yeah, it doesn't like push you. Maybe it does, maybe it doesn't, but I think that's very interesting.
I like that in friendships. I think it's really easy to understand and be there for your friend. But for relationships, I look at it as like life. So like,
yeah.
So I just need someone to balance me out, and I need that other perspective in life, you know? Versus like you give me other perspectives, but it's like we feel like we're on the same stream of consciousness sometimes, and it's just like we can go off and off and off into infinity, but sometimes I can't have that infinity. It's really overwhelming. Like, remember when we were just like couldn't talk to each other because we would just overwhelm each other, Anna? You know what I mean? Like, we get so deep in like your relationship with water signs, it can get really overwhelming because everyone just feels things so deeply that you don't even know how to communicate.
I know. That's so interesting. Yeah, that is very, very true. That's really true. I don't know how I feel about water signs. I am a water sign, but like I still don't know. Yeah, there's a lot of like this is a really good I'm gonna bring up one of my really close friends, Kelly, who is a Scorpio. I have a lot of Scorpio people in my life. My best friends are Scorpios. Like my best friends from college are Scorpio. Like you and like Shake's a Scorpio. Like so many people I know are Scorpios. Like Kelly's a Scorpio. Like I don't know. It's just like I'm gonna read you an excerpt from like one of a really close friend of mine, Kelly Kenlon. You never got to know Kelly, did you?
Not deeply, no.
So she wrote a piece called Scorpio Baby, and I asked her if I could quote on it, and she agreed. But I think this is so interesting. She goes, okay, so this is based off her interpretation of like a Scorpio and Pisces. So she goes, Scorpio and Pisces are said to be the perfect match. As my fave people, it's great because they can be all weird and watery together, which is very true. And she like adds me in it. And she's like, Scorpio and Pisces are in the water sign family, and Pisces brings out all the weird, lonely, obsessive, and emotional sides of Scorpio that often get tucked behind a much more fiery outer shell. She goes, the main thing that these two have in common is that they both have the ability to think deeply about the world, or something they wish they could change, for a long time. The issue is it's too long. Pisces could sit and think for days. Scorpio will eventually get bored and write something dramatic, go into hiding, or text someone they shouldn't. So like I get that. You know what I mean? Like, it's just too much wallowing that the Scorpio is gonna get bored and be like, out, like too much like emotion for me. And I get that, but I think that's it's like you're yin and yang, like someone who's emotional versus someone who's not, like that's gonna provide a lot of good things and a lot of bad things to whatever relationship and whatever context you experience them in.
Yeah, and I think that's why it's important to set boundaries with that. Boundaries are really important because like everyone has their different interpretation of moments. So like, for example, like remember I was just like texting you heavy because I was just like, yo bro, like I can't be ghosted. You know what I mean? I'm like, bro, I need to know what's going on. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, but you're like, but that was overwhelming for you.
That was so overwhelming for me.
So I didn't even know, but it was just so overwhelming for me to have nothing. And I was like, I need something to focus my mind on and just like an end conclusion. You know what I mean? So like,
Dude, remember when I freaked out? Remember I told you I freaked out on my friend Jake for being a
yeah.
Scorpio?
Yeah, like Anna, like I would do something and Anna's like, that's so manipulating. I'm like, wait, what the fuck is going on right now?
Yeah, because I felt like I was like this person is just like breaking my heart. Like it's so weird. Like whenever I get hurt, like my heart is just completely broken. Like my heart is just like it's like I'm just like so in like and like I was preparing for a heartbreak. So you know what I mean? So I was just like I don't know, but like yeah, that's I think it's really interesting. I also freaked out on my other friend who's a Scorpio. His name is Jake. So shout out Jake if you're listening to this. But yeah, I freaked out on big time. And he was just like he like reminded me like we like that's the thing is like the best thing about it is like communication. Like I called him and I was like, what are you doing? Like I'm so upset and this is why I'm upset. And like I just felt so destroyed. This was like New Year's Eve and I was like I felt just so upset and he like brought me down to earth. He's like, Anna, this is what's going on. This is what's happening. Like I care about you. Like reminding me that like it's not as it can get deep really quickly, but like to bring myself down. I think maybe that's also part of my anxiety or whatever, but I don't know. I think communication's a big thing. You know, like that's the thing is like you and I ended up communicating and we ended up like trying to like we both had the desire to communicate with each other. And I think that's the most part about any friendship is that like once you stop the desire to communicate, most friendships are over. You know, like
Yeah.
when you have the effort to communicate with people and just constantly like, you know, humans like people overthink, like people, I don't know, like constantly checking in with your friends and like whatnot. I think is also a really big important part to friendships. And it's not all about astrology. It's not all about them being a Scorpio. It's about communication.
Yeah, no matter what sign they are, check in. You know, if they reveal their emotions a lot, and if they
Or they
don't, they
don't.
still got emotions.
They
Like
still they
they
still
still
do. Oh my
feel
God.
things, unless they're
Yeah.
sociopaths, and sociopaths are people too.
Do you have any more Pisces friends in your life?
Yeah, so I guess I could share a story. So one of my best friends, um, is a Cancer, and yeah, so she actually like passed away, and she actually had a best friend that was a Pisces, and I always knew her as like her Jackie and Leah. These are the two girls. They were always really good friends, but I never hung out with them all together. And then I met the Pisces at like Jackie's wake, and we just automatically became really good friends.
That's amazing.
Yeah, so it just like someone without even knowing them, I just felt such a deep connection through this other
Hmm.
human being.
Yeah.
And I mean, like, I see so much of Jackie in her, and she sees so much of Jackie in me. It's funny because like my friends literally still call me Jackie, but they don't. They're like, oh shit. Like even though she hasn't been
Mm,
around for 2 years, they're like, yo Jackie, and I'm like, yo I'm Gabby. You know what I mean? It's just like
that's really
even at
interesting.
her wake, bro. Even at her wake, we literally see her body right there, and they're like, yo Jackie. I mean, and they're like, oh Gabby.
Wow.
And I'm like, bro, you like her brother was doing that to me. So it's like interesting, like a lot of her energies, like water sign energies, I feel like are very similar within other water signs, and we could see ourselves in each other.
Hmm.
So that's how I connected with my other really close Pisces friend, Leah.
That's very interesting. Wow. What a really good story. Yeah. I think that's yeah, it rings true. I think you definitely water signs are pretty cool. Pretty cool. Can get boring to certain other signs, but pretty cool.
Oh yeah, sometimes people don't understand us and like just think we're too
Mm,
much. So
yeah, I get that. I completely get that. You know, like sometimes I think fire signs are too much and
yeah.
or like, you know, sometimes I'm like, oh, air signs just like don't get it. But I don't know, like do that. Is there anything else you want to talk about?
I mean, I think we really covered everything. I
I
mean,
think we did too.
yeah, I just think everyone should do their homework and just like look up their favorite artists and like kind of observe their friendships and what signs they fell out of friendship with and what signs that they're still a really deep friendship with. Um,
Yeah, and like don't and like you know, like I said, remove your biases. Like, yeah, maybe like I was hurt by a Taurus, maybe I was hurt by a Cancer. Doesn't mean I don't have this intense understanding with them. You know what I mean? Doesn't mean like I don't love them, you know?
yeah.
I
No,
think that's
exactly.
something important. Like, people are always like, oh, I'm like, I hate Geminis, or like, I hate Scorpios. And I'm like, those are two of my favorite signs. You know what I mean? Like I love Geminis and I love Scorpios. And like, yeah, they have their qualities that like people are attribute to them, but like there's fun in those qualities, I guess.
Yeah, also a little interesting thing. I just rekindled with my best friend from 8th grade, and she's an Aquarius, and it was during Aquarius season.
That's
And
amazing.
then so just like really random, right? Okay, whatever. Then I rekindled with my friend Jackie that passed away. Her friend from college hit me up and was like, "Yo, let's hang out." Like trying to get that
Oh
Jackie vibe back, and she's an
yeah, yeah,
Aquarius, and this was during Aquarius season. These
that's
two
vibes.
Aquarius both have Capricorn boyfriends.
That's so interesting.
So it's weird because I
Maybe they
just
maybe they sensed your Capricorn in your chart, and then also Jackie's water sign. They're like, oh, like this is vibes, like,
yeah,
oh,
but
it's
it's
so
just weird
interesting.
during Aquarius season. I just like was like brought upon these two Aquariuses that are I'm hanging out with so much.
Mm.
And then I'm just like, oh, like who are your boyfriend? Who are your boyfriend? And just asking little questions about their sign and just like, oh my god, these two Aquarius that just started hanging out with both have Capricorn boyfriends. Just weird little synchronicities. So I just challenge you to just like look at the synchronicities of the universe and just like not even through astrology, just through like colors and through words. You know what I mean? Just look at patterns within your day. I know it can get a little boring because we might be being really stagnant in our home, but try to find those little activities that make you excited and um, things that get you interested in intellectual life.
Yeah, I think that's a really good way to like end off. I think also like don't be afraid of self-reflection, and take it with a grain of salt, but don't be afraid of it. Like don't be afraid of any subject you're interested in. Like just dive into it. Or like life can be overwhelming when it was our previous life, but obviously now life is very, very stagnant. But like sometimes like sitting around and like reading astrology and indulging like how goofy it can be, like how fun it can be. Like Gabby sends me all of these Instagram posts. Like, you know what I mean? Like I send her Instagram posts. Like we just like have fun with it. We're like laughing our asses off at like the memes. Like we follow like all like Scorpio meme accounts or Pisces meme accounts or like stuff like that. Like cracking jokes, and like you can use it in that manner. You can also use it as a form of like understanding your like oneself, or like even help you like to understand the dynamic between like other signs and how that applies to like your personal relationships. And like I said, it's fun to, in an unpredictable world, apply some type of meaning to it. And it's really cool. And it's like astrology is for like people who like astronomy, who like physics, who like understanding how,
Psychology.
yeah, who like understanding like maybe even religion, you can argue. Like you like there's so much that goes into it, but obviously we know like humans are so limited in predicting the future, predicting our fate, like predicting what, like we obviously know that's much more relative, but so is most things, everything is relative. So as long as
Mm-hmm.
you keep that in mind, astrology is fun. Astrology is really cool and you can get a lot out of it. And it's a really cool subject to indulge in.
And think about like in the olden days why they actually started this. Think about the amount of clear skies and clear night skies they had, and they just saw these planets literally in the air. You know how we see stars now? That's like so much more. We have so much more pollution now than the
Yeah.
start of time. Think they had to like anthropomorphize these planets, these stars, and attribute characteristics to these things. It's like, yo, like these are above us. These are more than what we're living now. What are these things? And that's
Yeah.
why they started tracking and using mathematics to track patterns. So just think about like the root of it and why people started even getting into this.
I think that's a really good point. I think it's a very good point. So I hope you enjoyed our little astrology segment as our first episode via via
Astrology.
via Skype call.
Yeah.
And we hope this was like a good way to distract yourself during quarantine. Hope it's like something new to learn, something new to indulge in. And yeah, is there any other signs you want to touch up on before we go?
No, I
Your
definitely
favorite,
think
your favorite. Give me a rundown of your favorite signs.
bro, I don't act like, first of all, number one thing for me, no one ever asks me my favorite anything because I can't
Really?
pick. I don't like picking favorites for anything. Like if you ask my
Well, like
favorite color,
multiple
I'm like
favorites.
the rainbow. You know what I mean? Like um I like
Or like
every
your favorite element. I don't know. I like all of them too.
yeah, like I can't even explain because I love understanding people without even having to question why. So like people water signs, it's
Hmm.
so easy for me to understand and just jump idea to idea to idea versus like other signs where I need to understand where they're coming from and I like that background. I need to break down my ideas, take it a little slower. So I really embrace all signs.
Same.
Yeah.
I definitely have like a special love for like earth signs. I have a special love for water signs because I think again, understanding. It's easy to just be easily understood. But yeah, I do like all of them. I appreciate all of them and all of their qualities, both good and bad. Every sign has them. You
Yeah.
know, it's just about how you deal with them or how you view them or how you interact with them.
Yeah, I think Aquarius are actually mad funny if I think about it. I love like Aquarius mind because they will do all the work that I don't want to do. So like they look up so much shit on Google. Like my friends
Yeah,
that
I
are
know they're so
Aquarius, like
smart.
they know all these random facts and like I don't like looking into that shit, like articles. You know what I mean? Like I like will scroll for the answer,
Yeah,
but they'll like literally tell me a review of the whole article. I'm like, okay, thank you. You know what I mean? So I like that vibe of Aquariuses and like I love just like different people that I could dig into and just like learn more.
good vibes. Yeah. Shout out to the Tauruses. Taurus season. Cheers to you.
Word. And I want to do a little other shout out to Strange Conversations, strange.combo.pod. This is my boyfriend Austin Kennie's podcast with his friend and my friend Dylan Bennett. It's just like a music podcast to review music albums week by week and have some strange conversations about it. And shout out to him. He's like my motivation of really starting getting this podcast together. Seeing that he's already up to episode 6 and doing it weekly is just such a motivation to me. He's a Gemini, getting his shit done. Should we segue into word of the week?
Let's do it.
All
Explain what
right.
word of the week is to the users.
So, word of the week, I thought this would be a cool, funky way to spice up our podcast. Each week, Anne and I are going to pick one word that we found interesting or eccentric or whatever reason we want to pick it, and we're going to combine it and make a new word. Yes, we can do that. We are the number 2 podcast in the galaxy. We can make up whatever word we want to make up.
That's
So,
very true.
humans invented words. We are humans. Why can't we invent words? That's what I think.
That's a word in itself, right? That's called the lollygabber, right?
Yeah.
Isn't that, yeah.
No, that's the reason why lollygabber is trying to find the deeper meaning to words.
Mm.
And because, yeah, so that's what I think lollygabber means. And the reasoning why I did that is because I'm a human and I can invent words. So what?
Yeah.
But I thought it was just interesting. The reason why Gabber is such a cool word, I'm so happy I was named that, Gaby, is because like Socrates actually coined the word gabbing, and that's like literally just like asking people. You know, Socrates got killed because he was a busybody, because he asked people too many questions, and they
I didn't
didn't.
know that.
Yeah, so he would just like ask people deep questions like, what is
Mm.
justice? You know what I mean? Like why are
Yeah.
you the best craftsman? You know what I
Why are
mean?
you
What
asking all
makes
these questions?
yeah, what makes
Wait,
you the
what was
best
the
craftsman?
sign?
Bro, he lived in like AD. Like BC. He lived in BC before Christ.
What was the astrology sign back
No.
then?
I tried to look that up before, but but I think it's so
Wait, this
cool.
is Socrates or Aristotle?
Socrates.
He's a Taurus.
No, he's not. You can't
Well,
even
I
say that.
googled it. It's the first thing that came up. So like, but again, he's from AD. We have to take that with a
I
grain
think
of
it's
salt,
BC, yeah.
or whenever. Yeah, he
Before
was BC.
Christ.
He's May 20th, 467 BC.
Bro.
So End of Taurus season. Socrates, this is for you.
And he just would question people heavy and people get so annoyed at him, but he was just trying to find like the meaning of life and the meaning of words. And like I really like to do that with people. I try to understand people and just ask them really deep questions, and that is actually being a Gaby. Like that's like talking, and then I'm like, oh shit, that's my identity, that's my name.
I love that. All right, my word of your word of the week is Gabber, or is it?
No. You say your word of the week.
My word of the week is anthropomorphism. Gaby taught me this word exactly a year ago in college. We were having this stream of consciousness, unfilmed, unfiltered, and Gaby was like, Anna, you're anthropomorphizing. And I was like, what?
So it's the attribution of a human characteristic or behavior to a god, animal, or object.
So like when we talk about God, when we talk about these theories, even astrology itself, like trying to attribute something that we can't necessarily comprehend, like the planets, like planetary movements, like nature, like God, universe, karma, synchronicity, those things we can explain. So anthropomorphize, you try to attach something on them to find meaning, is kind of what I'm
why, like,
making the definition of the word.
Like Venus is like the planet of love, and Eros is like the god of it, and it's like we're putting all those characteristics to this planet. It's not like this planet is talking to us and telling us it. We just have to do that to bring meaning to the world.
That's true.
My word of the week is, I don't even know how to pronounce it, so I wrote it out for all these peeps that know, but it's called Mamin Lapintape.
Put it up. Yeah.
They're here?
Yeah.
Okay. So I butchered that, but Mamin Lapintape, right? Whatever that means. Guess what that means? It means all participants want something to be done, but no one wants to do it. And sometimes I feel like this, like with school, but then I came out of school and I realized the process is what I love. Not like the end result is just nice and it's good to reflect with the end result, but the process is what gets me to who I am today. And that's where
the hard work,
Yeah, like when I'm down, when I'm extra happy, that's who I figure out who I am. So sometimes you want to get like, oh, I don't want to do anything, but I want shit done. That's a really cool word for it. But I also realize, the process is the whole journey,
That's exactly what Gary Vee says. He goes, it's all about like growing. Like if you love the process, you're going to be really happy because you're going to grow a lot. So I think that's a great way to end off with some more Gary Vee like motivation.
So what we do is combine these two words, and we're going to do a quick little YouTube video of the etymology of the word and what it means. But I'm going to combine anthropomorphism and Manin La Pintape and make anthrotape.
I love it.
And anthrotape means it's putting responsibilities into the universe when you don't want to do anything. So when we don't want to do anything, we just trust the universe does it for us. And that is the word anthrotape.
It's beautiful. Beautiful. So intellectual. I loved it. There you go. Word of the week. What is it?
Anthrotape.
And that is, ladies and gentlemen, that is our stream of consciousness.
All you peoples out there.
I hope you enjoyed it.
Consciousness for this week.
Send us topics. Send us anything.
I don't know what we're going to be talking about next week. We got to first get our shit together and edit this video.
Oh yeah, we got a little bit more left to do. But yeah, thank you for listening to our stream of consciousness.
Yes, all right. That was nice.
Leave us comments. Give us advice on our first podcast where we take everything seriously and not seriously at all. So like, send whatever you want to send in so we can like hash it out and see how we feel about it. And leave us a comment. Tell us how you feel. You know, water signs, just asking you how you feel. Typical.
Exactly. I'd love to know your opinions, and follow our Instagram account, Stream of Consciousness. Stream our consciousness.
Perfect.
Alright.
Stay tuned. We'll see you next week.
I will see you next week. I'm lost. I'm gonna stop recording.
Bye.